Because if 50 Cent sat here or Jay-Z sat here or Beyonce said, I'm him and I'm her, y'all going to respect it because of the economics. But a person that hasn't arrived yet, if they believe highly in themselves, you're going to automatically diss them. I think it's wrong. I think the world got the world twisted.
Welcome to the Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast, starring Q the Boss.
Yo, 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 yo. Welcome back to another episode of Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast. They call me Q the Boss. Guys, let me start off by giving myself some flowers. I don't want to be arrogant, but I want to give myself some flowers. Today I just got back from Connecticut. I just won the humanitarian award at the award show today. Just won the humanitarian award. Very excited. Adding another award to my collection. Promoting nothing but positivity. They gave me an award for being such a positive person. And it's weird because I come from not being so positive to now I care about being so positive. So it's just it's astonishing that to be received and to be respected by your peers that you respect. A guy by the name of Jay Majors, he gave me this award, as you guys can see, and I'm happy because it's like my work is actually paying off. As you can see, I wanted this too. I wanted this. I said, it was the Barber Grammys Humanitarian Award. So they hit me with the drum roll, please, right? So I'm sitting there nervous because, had a couple people in attendance, and I didn't know if I was winning or not winning or what I was winning. I didn't know. And then when I saw that, humanitarian award goes to Quentin Brown. And guys, give it up for me, man. I'm gonna give it up for myself. Sometimes you gotta celebrate yourself, and today I'm celebrating myself. But today we're talking about old you versus the new you. And we have a call-in number, guys. You can call in, I don't know the call-in number right now. They're going to give it to me. But we got a call-in number. You guys can call in. The number's on my live right now. You guys can call in. Call in on that number. And let's get this conversation started. Old you versus the new you. That's what we're talking about today. I'm going to start the conversation by talking about my old self. And I want someone to call in and give some examples of the things they've changed about themselves. Because it's amazing how so many people are growing. So many people are changing. So many people are becoming greater selves. This is a very good award for me. All the things I do in life, but to me, this is one of my biggest. Me becoming a barber actually saved my life. Anyone that knows me personally know that barbering actually saved my life. And the reason why I say barbering saved my life because it gave me purpose. And when you have purpose, you tend to wake up every day happy because you're looking forward to do something that you love. And a lot of people still haven't found what they love. My old self just walked through life careless and reckless because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know what was my purpose. But now I look back and I see myself as, wow, I'm actually loving the man I'm becoming. I love the positive example. To win a humanitarian award is big, man. They gave me an award for being such a positive person. And for me, it's like coming from my environment. I would have never expected that. We got a caller calling in already. We're going to answer this call right now. Caller, what's going on, caller? Caller. Hey, caller, what's going on?
Yeah, it's Dominic.
Dominic, what's going on?
I'm good. First of all, I wanted to commend you and congratulate you for your award, dog. For real, I'm happy for you. That's what's up. I seen that this morning. I'm like, oh, that's gold.
I appreciate it, bro. I appreciate it, man. For those who don't know, Dominic is one of the biggest supporters of the Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast and the Q the Boss movement. I love you and I appreciate you, Dominic, so much.
I'm not, of course. Yeah, I mean, hey, once you got me, you got me. I'm definitely a loyal dude. Like that's always been me though. I've always been like, that's all I know, really. I mean.
So let me ask you a quick question. What is the difference between the old you and the new you?
I would definitely say, like the people I associate myself with, because I noticed because I noticed a lot of people that that I used to associate myself with, I actually cut out of my life. People now that I'm starting to realize were no good for me. That back in the day, it was I would be around these people, and now I look back and I'm like, what was I thinking?
That's normal. I've noticed a lot of people that they're starting to change their environments and also the circle of people they keep. But Dom, let me get to the next person. I appreciate you so much, bro, and thank you for calling in, and thank you for always supporting me, man. I appreciate you so much.
No doubt, of course. I'm about to share the live right now.
Let's give it up for Dom. Let's give it up for Dom. This guy, he supports me a lot, guys, and I value him so much. He's always showing love. Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. The old ways that we've had a lot of times is the reason and why we don't open up new doors. A lot of us are still stuck in the same kind of rooms that we've been in. I'm noticing that I'm branching into different rooms because of the fact that I'm making myself uncomfortably to be comfortable, right? And by challenging myself, I'm seeing myself putting myself around better audiences and better people and better energy. Noticing that the people I'm around now, they want better for me and they see the value in me. Sometimes we go around people who don't genuinely see value in you, right? You keep getting mad at the fact that people are trying to offer a low price tag for you, but they really don't see the value in you. But yet and still you stay around these people because that's the old ways. But you got to understand, I call it day one and day two. Day ones, they always talk about stay around your day ones. But sometimes when you're around day one people, you get so caught up in who you were that you can't see who you want to become. A lot of the times, the older people that used to be around you, they hold you to who you were. So they can't see this new shining light that's on you right now. They can't see this great person you're becoming. Ultimately losing the steam because you have an idea or a belief that you can do something successful, but they don't want to believe it. So sometimes you got to go around your day twos. Day two is the new people that's accepting you becoming your new self. And that's a problem. In order for you to allow yourself to become the greater self, you have to be uncomfortable being who you were. Sometimes you're too comfortable being this bad person, the lazy person, the person that don't want to go to the gym. We get lazy with these things. And by being lazy, you allow yourself to stay complacent. And that's normal. A lot of people are very content. You got to see your old self and you got to look at your new self and see who you want to become. But in order to become the new self, you got to walk away from your old self. And I want to give everybody some flowers on my live right now who has walked away from their old selves. If you're allowing your old self to die and going into your new self, I want to give you your flowers, man, because it's not easy pursuing your greater self. It's not easy asking yourself, am I willing to do the things that's hard? Because the reality of all things is hard becomes easy to those who always want to do what's hard, right? Easy remains easy because of the fact that you always do what's easy. Hard always becomes easy. The longer you do what's hard, it becomes easier. Notice, like my guy in the studio, Dre, you wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning every day, right? Is it easy for you? But your body got accustomed to it, and that's reality. You got to get your body accustomed and your mind accustomed to the fact of the things that you want. The new you is the person that's going to change your situation now. The old you can't change your situation. Your old you is the reason why you're still in your situation. But as long as you stay comfortable being that person, you're going to remain in the same situation. Are we a victim of circumstance or are we a victim of our own selves? Some people are genuinely a victim of their circumstance, right? Meaning they grew up in poverty-stricken areas and a lot of things didn't go the way they want. It happens. But the reality of all things is more people are stuck in their ways. That's why they're not getting to new doors. They're stuck. You got to get out your own way. There's one foot, left foot, right foot, left foot. You got to take one step at a time. The problem is we're trying to move 4 or 5 steps at one time. It's like a ladder, right? If you put a ladder up, and you try to jump from the ground to the stair number 7, you're going to hurt yourself. And a lot of people are hurting themselves because they're trying to skip steps. You got to look at your old self. I want somebody to call in right now, guys. Let's have this conversation. Somebody give me the call-in number, 516. Let me get this number, guys, because we're doing a new number today. Hold on one second. 516-246. 5172. Somebody write that number down. 516. Say again. 246. 5172. I'm bad with numbers, just so y'all know that. Very intelligent man, but I'm very bad with numbers. 516-252. 516. Okay, there we go. 246-5172. Someone calling right now. We're talking about what is the difference between your older self and your new self? What is the difference? One of the major things I see is my consistency. I see my lack of making excuses. I see my holding myself accountable now. I see myself always asking and pursuing myself to be my better self. I see all of those things now. Before, I didn't see those things. And the reason why I didn't see it because I was around people who would allow me to be the person I was. See, you can't become this new individual by staying around those people, right? We got another caller. Caller, what's going on, caller? Caller, what's going on, caller? Hey, caller,
Hi,
what's
my
going on?
friend. It's Face the Truth. How are you?
How you doing? How's everything?
I'm good.
So
I'm
let's
good.
see what you
One
got
thing I
today.
gotta say, the difference between the old me and the new me is the old me. It was everybody else's fault.
Okay.
The new me is my fault.
Mm. So accountability.
So I guess I can say, raised in the type of area that I was raised in, which is South Florida. You know, you didn't take accountability of yourself. You didn't take accountability of why you didn't finish something. It was always, oh, I had to do this, or this person needed me to do this. No. In reality, once you become an adult, you have to understand if you didn't do something, it is your fault that you didn't put the priority there for you to get it done.
That makes
Take
sense.
accountability of your crap. That's the only way you're going to grow.
And let me ask you the next question. How did that change, though?
It changed because I got tired of losing.
Mm.
I got tired of losing. If the demographics I'm in is teaching me to constantly be okay with not being okay, it's time for me to change my mindset. I got tired of looking around me and seeing that I was surrounded by a lot of people that didn't have a want or need for life because we lose anyway.
Agreed.
I don't want to be a loser. I want to be a winner. And I can't teach my boys how to be a winner if I'm still stuck in the same place I was in and born in and thinking that I can't get or go get greater.
I agree 100%. So give me something like something you've done outside of just holding yourself accountable. Give me something physically you've done to change your positioning today.
Okay. So I'm going to say the biggest issue that I had was being a mother
Mm-hmm.
in South Florida.
Okay.
3 places that your boys will end up. And this is a priority. I know it's always about taking accountability of yourself, but
Okay.
me being a mother is my main accountability issue, okay?
Okay.
Now, raised where I was raised in South Florida, I have all boys.
Mm.
They got 3 options: the jail,
Mm-hmm.
the corner,
Mm-hmm.
or the grave.
Well.
We decided on June 6, 2018, we were leaving that lifestyle and moving. We agreed and found a place on June 11th, 2018, and we was gone by June 16th of 2018. Have
Wow.
not been back since.
Wow.
Sometimes it takes that way where you get tired of your situation and you say, you know what, I don't want to be here no more. And you get your ass up and you do what you got to do.
So basically,
You don't stay there.
you said to yourself, you knew the outcome of the environment. So if you would have stayed there, ultimately you would have failed your children.
Absolutely. And not only fail my children, fail myself, because as a mom, we have a habit of putting everything that we have in us into our children. So we got to understand that this environment is not working for me. I know it's not going to work for my kids.
I agree.
And once you do that and you make that decision, initially it was made because of my children, but I have grown so far since I made it here because now I own my own business. I feel like I have a voice because of my own issues that I've been through. I feel like I have a lot of things that's stuck inside of my back pocket that I don't want to play. Now I ain't got nothing but space and opportunity where I speak my truth unapologetically, whether you like it or not. You can't tell my truth because I'm going to tell it for me.
Wow. And your children currently where they are now?
They're here with me. We're still in Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
but my kids went from making C's and D's to now everybody is literally straight A/B students. I have my 6th grader that just graduated 6th grade with a 4.3 GPA.
Wow.
All my kids read on 12th grade level.
Wow.
They comprehend on 12th grade level.
I will say this though. I don't think they're gonna be in the corner. I don't think they're going to that grave, and I definitely don't think they're going to incarceration. And Mom, I want to tip my hat to you because you made a very dramatic change, right? And that's what we scared of a lot of times, change, right? Because we get so comfortable with who we were that we can't see who we want to become. You know, when we want to become something, we got to make ourselves very uncomfortable. And I commend you.
Can I say that we're not comfortable with who we are? We're comfortable with who we are taught to be.
Sometimes.
Because I didn't know myself until I took myself out of the situation and now had to learn myself by myself where I couldn't depend on nobody but me and my significant other. I didn't have mama to run home to. I didn't have anybody to run away from. Now I'm looking at my problems straight on and I got to fix my problems. One, including my mental health. I had to get out of the environment that was causing the mental unhealthiness in order to become mentally healthy.
I like that. That's true. That's true because that same like me. There's a big rapper, and I'm gonna give him his flowers today. You know a rapper, he was hotter back in the days in the early 2000s. You know a rapper named Mims. He had a record called "This Is Why I'm Hot."
Love him.
That's my good friend.
Love him.
You know, I'm giving him his flowers. That's a good friend of mine, right? And Mims was like, we lived in the same neighborhood when he got older, and he was like, "Q, you got to get out of this neighborhood." And I was like, "Why?" He said, "Because basically the three things you just said became the same circumstances of what was going to happen to me." And he was like, "You have a bigger mindset than this area. You got to get out of here because the mind is your mind is stuck." And I couldn't see it. Literally, when I moved out of the neighborhood, like you said, I started seeing things so different. And I thank God that I actually did that because if I didn't, I would still probably be in the same position or worse.
Well, I know you got more people to get to. You know, every time you go live, I try to pop in and out.
I appreciate that.
Speaking your truth unapologetically is greatly needed to not only me, but other people that look like us to know that there's options outside of the hood. Get out if you can get out. Want more if you want to want more.
I agree.
You got
100%.
nothing but greatness left in you. And just because your age means something, that's nothing. You got work in you. You got fight in you. Keep fighting. Don't let where you are keep you stagnated to the point that your feet won't move. It's not cement. Move your feet.
I agree. Thank you so much. I want to appreciate
I love you, bye.
All right, bye.
Absolutely.
Give her her flowers. She always show love to the podcast. Always got something positive to say on the podcast, man. She's dope. But you know, guys, we got to realize like the old you is in the way of the new you, right? And in order to get to the new you, you got to walk around the old you or go through the old you. A lot of times we're scared to go through the old us because of the fact that we're scared the old us is going to defeat the new you, right? The new you is going to get challenged by the old you. It happens every day. And it's just life. You got to accept the fact that by being challenged by the old you, it's showing you where you are. So when you think you've arrived, because it takes baby steps. A lot of us want to rush the process. We don't want to trust the process. And when you're not trusting the process, ultimately, you become a victim of the process. You got to allow the process to go through all the way. You got to become the person you see yourself as psychologically, or mentally or physically at. You got to hold yourself accountable to becoming that person. You got to know it's going to be a lot of challenges that's going to come along with you pursuing your better self. We need another call in, guys. Let's get a call in right now, right? And that's what a lot of people don't realize. She said, you grow every day. You just got to walk into it. I agree 100%. But we scared to walk into our greater self because things don't happen overnight. And I've noticed that tons of people want things to just happen overnight. I tell people all the time, if I come on this podcast and talk about bare negativity, I would be so lit. But for me, it's not worth it because I'm not going to take on that spirit. Because when you take on that negative spirit, you are what you put out to the universe. And the karma is real. And just call it what it is. You reap what you sow in life. And I think the old me sowed a lot of negativity, so therefore I got a lot of negative results. We don't see that. We look at life like, you know what? I'm going to do all the wrong things, but I want things to be right for me. I'm going to be the most negative person, but I want all positivity. This don't make no sense, guys. We got to hold ourselves a little bit more accountable to what we want from life. I want someone to call in right now. 516, guys, tell me that number. Tell me the number. Anybody got a pen? 516. Say it again. 246. 5172. 516-246-5172. Someone call in right now, guys. We're talking about what is the difference between the old you and the new you? What is the difference? I'm not gonna lie, man. I made some great changes on my new self. Like I said, just going up to get this humanitarian award, I didn't believe in helping other people and helping them do things. Like, I just came back. I got this yesterday, a nice award. And for me, I never saw myself doing these things. And I don't know if it was because I wasn't capable, but I didn't believe it. Because I always say this statement on this live and on my podcast. My favorite line is exposure leads to expansion. The mind is not exposed, the mind won't expand. And a lot of people aren't exposed, so therefore they won't expand. You get complacent based on the fact that you're stuck in your same environment. When you're stuck in the same environment, you're going to see the same results. noticing it is harder to change the room you in, but it's so much easier to change the room you in. Let me say that again. It is so much harder to change the room you in psychologically, but it is so much easier for you to get up and walk away and put yourself in a new room. You'll spend so much years of your life trying to change the room that you're in psychologically, rather than just walking into a whole new room. So I say it again, it is easier to change the room that you're in physically. You have to walk out of that room and go into the new rooms and hear the things you need to hear. Because a lot of the times we become reserved and resilient on our beliefs, and we stand strong and firm on the ignorance. And the ignorant mind will ultimately regurgitate ignorant information. That's how a mind is. That's how it operates. It don't do no better because of the fact that you just think that life is going to happen. That's not how life goes, right? You can't just be sitting here every day complaining about your life, knowing that a lot of the times the decisions that you've made is the reason why you're in your position. We all, like I said, things can happen in life based on that's beyond our control. And we have to admit that and acknowledge that. But you can't sit here and say life is messed up because of him, and him, but you're not seeing that as you, right? I'll give you a quick story. One of the guys I talked to, he complains about the baby mother that he has a lot. He always talks about how she does this, she's that. But then you want to hear something funny? After he left her, he went physically and started dating a girl that is exactly like his ex. Twins, mentally wise. They don't look alike, but psychologically they think just alike, right? Always want to manipulate the system, always smoking, always doing these things. And he chose the same identical girl as he was dating before, ultimately getting the same results. So here's my question. Is it the baby mama's problem, or is it the choices of the women that he's choosing? But he can't see it as his choices. And there's some women out here also doing the same thing. They can't see is the decisions that they're making. Because what happens is society tells us that it's not our problem, it's the world's problem. But you can't see that in the world. You can't change it. You just have to do what you can do to make an impact on it, but ultimately be the example that you want to see in the world. You cannot change the world. I don't think no one is strong enough to change the whole world, right? But the one thing I can say is you can change or make an impact on the world. You can change the environment you're in of people psychologically. You cannot just end poverty in a lot of the poor areas, right? How are you going to do that? Because before you can physically change someone's poverty situation, you have to change their mentality. Because a lot of people in poverty think bad. And I don't create the rule, I just understand it. And this is a mentality that's been pushed into our culture to the point where people are regurgitating the same mentality. And they're procreating it and they're teaching the same mentality. My old self used to always want to fight, not realizing that the reason why I wanted to fight is because of the fact that I was insecure. When you learn that a lot of people are so insecure, this is why they behave the way they behave, then you'll see that you're behaving in such a manner because of the fact that you're insecure. I was very insecure. My insecurities made me make poor decisions. My insecurities made me choose certain women. My insecurities made me hang out with certain people. My insecurities played everything on my life. There's somebody on this live today that is very insecure, and they don't see that they won't be able to change their life unless they get out of their insecurities, unless they get out of themselves. You're scared to speak up for yourself. So how do you expect the world to speak up for you when you're scared to speak up for yourself? I respect that. Patience just said I am, and there's nothing wrong with that. Because I'm sitting here saying this to you, I was very insecure and still working on myself. Still working on myself. I'm going to give you some of my insecurities. My insecurities was, the moment you said something that could be 100% true, the moment you said that, I want to fight you. Because rather than me fighting the problem, I would physically fight you. Somebody got to stop fighting people that's telling them the truth and start fighting the problem that's at hand. We say that we cry about life, but we don't see that we have to fight back. Life hits you. You have to hit life's back. You can't let life just keep hitting you and kicking you, right? Because that's how life is. But it's the ones that's willing to fight back is the ones that's going to win. You can't cry about life. Life just keep hitting me. Life keeps kicking me, but you're not fighting back. You're laying there and allowing it to happen. So who is the real victim here? The victim is not the person that's allowing it to happen. Because I'm going to tell you something. When life gives you lemons, you better make some lemonade. If life gives you oranges, you better make orange juice because you got to make the most out of your situation. There are tons of people every day who wake up and make the most out of their situations. Most of us aren't born with a silver spoon. But the fact of the matter is, they took that wood spoon and they learned how to create that silver into that silver spoon. So a lot of us start at the back of the race. But here's the problem with starting in the back of the race. Are you comfortable being in the back of the race? See, when you're comfortable being in the back of the race, you're going to stay in the back of the race because you're doing things that's keeping you in the back of the race. That's what life is. It's the ones that's willing to do more. How much more do you want? Do you want to give yourself an excuse? The excuse is going to be the reason you lose. I'm telling you now. Because your excuse is going to be something that you can work on, but you're not going to do it. You're going to say stuff like, my dad wasn't in my life. So what does your dad not being in your life still play a part in your 40-year-old self now? Your 30-year-old self now? Your 20, I can understand the prominence of what a father is. I grew up without my father. And until I learned that I can't use that as a crutch, I would have never changed my life. Noticing that most of us hold on to these excuses, accommodating our old selves. We compliment ourselves. We make a nice table, a reservation at a nice restaurant, and we tell ourselves this is why we're losing. This is why you're losing because you want to hear an excuse. An excuse is a reasoning to fail. If you don't believe in your mind that it's on me to win or lose, then you'll never believe you can win. Let me say that again. In your mind, if you don't believe that it's on you to win or lose, then you'll never win because your mind has made the reservations that I am destined to lose. A loser thinks like a loser before they lose. I'll give you a story. I played football my whole life. One day, I'm going to a game. And as soon as I get to the game, one of the guys say, man, look how big they are. I looked at him and I said to my coach, I said, that's a starter? He goes, yeah. I said, I don't want to go on the field with him. He said, well, I said, he's scared. He said, what do you mean? He said, I said, he's scared. He put the second string player in, right? And the second string player got the MVP of that game, right? I did not want to go to war with a person that's scared. Because I'm going to tell you something about a scary person. They will talk you out of becoming your greater self. A person that genuinely believes that they can't do anything will sit down every day and talk you out of what you can't do. And here's the narrative. Sometimes people put limits on themselves, ultimately putting limits on you. And if you're around them, the more you say you're going to do more, what they're going to do, they're going to tell you their limits, ultimately making the same limits your limits. And that's not reality. God made us all different, right? Some people are gifted at certain things that others aren't. But a person could never tell me what I can and cannot do. I think I'm a little too old to go to the NBA. I think I'm a little too old to go to the NFL. But I am nowhere near too old to be a millionaire. And that's the truth. And that's how you should look at yourself. I am not too old to be successful. I am not too old to be pursuing my greater self. I am not too old to find my relationship with my God in the heavens. I am not too old to forgive myself for my past. I am not too old to stop lying to myself. I am not too old to be accountable. I am not too old to be a good father or a mother. But yet and still, we're going to say that we're too old, giving ourselves an excuse. The old you is the reason why you're not getting there. It's not the new you. Because there's a mentality that's in you now that's changing. And the reason why you're constantly seeing these ideas in your mind is because they're destined for you to get them. But the problem is you cannot pull the dream out without pursuing it. The dream will remain a dream. And the only time you're going to enjoy this dream is when you're sleeping. But in order for you to enjoy this dream in reality, you got to put the work in reality. You cannot cry about what was or what should be or what could be and start seeing what you're not doing. A lot of us can't see that. We're not seeing what we're not doing. We're not seeing the conversations we're not having. We're in rooms where we're still talking about the high school graduation. And we're grown now. We're talking about the latest parties, the new clothes that come out. We're talking about all the wrong things. This is why the mentality stays stagnated. Because look at what you're talking about. Look what you care to hear. Look what you care to know. This is why you're losing. You're not losing because of the inability. Listen, I'm going to tell you a story. One day I went with my mom. My mom invited me to a graduation, right? And the person that graduated, he was on the spectrum. I don't know if you guys, anybody on here understands something called, what is a lot of children born with autism, right? This guy was graduating college and he was born on the spectrum of autism, right? High functioning, but autistic. And I'm gonna show you something funny. When he graduated, right, he said one of the greatest lines I ever heard in my life. And this stuck with me ever since I was 14 years old. He said, it's funny how somebody like me, who was born with a disability, still out here pursuing his greater self. But you have a ton of people who weren't born with a disability, but they're not pursuing themselves, but yet and still they'll laugh at me because I was born with a disability, but you're not laughing at the people who weren't born with a disability who does nothing with their life. I think we got life twisted. That person that was in special ed who's working hard, knowing that he has a learning disability, but still pursuing himself. That person should be commended. You have a high-functioning person who don't want to do anything with their lives. That's the joke. Not the person born with a disability. We got the world all twisted. That's the reality. No one chooses to be on a spectrum, but you choose to be lazy. You choose to be unsuccessful. You choose to not pursue your greater self. You choose not to do anything. You choose all of your excuses. Because I'm going to tell you something, excuse becomes your reality the more you say it. Listen to the narrative. Every time I keep telling myself an excuse, it becomes my truth. That's the dangers about truth, a lie. The lie can become truth if you tell your mind it enough. You genuinely believe that your father, who was never in your life, is holding you back. That ain't true. That ain't true. Your father's not holding you back. It's the fact that you're not willing to forgive him and say, you know what? I have to accept that my dad was a loser, and it is what it is. My mama might have been a loser. My dad might have been a loser. My neighborhood might have been poverty-stricken, but that doesn't mean you have to stay there. You got to work against getting out of there. And that's the truth. You can't do things that's holding you further in there. We dig a deeper and deeper grave to the reason why we're stuck in our positioning. A lot of us are sitting there every day with a shovel, digging ourselves deeper and deeper and deeper into poverty. But let me guess, you got the latest sneakers on. But let me guess, you taking the latest trips. But let me guess, you willing to do everything that's everyone around you's losing doing, but you think you're gonna get better results. That is the definition of insanity. You're insane. You're lying to yourself. And that's the most dangerous conversation. The one who lies to himself believes his own madness. It's madness. It's madness. Someone just wrote priorities. It is priorities. It's what you want. Don't get mad at the person who was in class studying when you was in that same class disruptive and making a noise. Get a joke. You're mad at the person who decided to sit in that class and study while you went home every day to watch Netflix and binge watch all these shows. Who's the joke? Who's the joke? The person that went to home every day and said, you know what, I'm gonna study. You got 40-year-old people who decided one day to go back to school and attend college. And those people, I want to give them their flowers. Right? Furthering their education at 40 years old. Right? You have people that are grown as hell right now that say, you know what, I want to go do more with my life. I commend those people. Because the time, when you say old, to me, the word old means dead. Until you're dead, you're not old. As long as there's breath in your lungs, you're not old. There's no old. Of course, a person 50 is older to a person that's 40. Of course, a person that's 30 is older to someone 20. Of course, a person that's 60 is older to someone 50. So it depends on who you compare an age to. Because if you take that same 50-year-old woman and put it next to a 50-year-old woman, a 55-year-old woman, she's younger. So she may not see herself as old. So sometimes, again, knowing that the people you're around is what's allowing you to believe that you are old. There's nothing wrong with aging. Aging is a blessing. But the common sense about blessings is the fact that you have to be receptive of it and understand how to receive it. Some people haven't got their blessings because they don't know how to receive it. They said it's like an airport, right? Look at this. It's your blessings is like an airport. And the plane is hovering around the airport in circles, right? But you know why the plane of blessings haven't landed yet? It's because you still haven't cleared the runway with all your madness. You still haven't got the people out of the way that's stopping your blessings. You still haven't removed the runway so your blessings can land. How is your blessings gonna land when you got everything in the way of it? Your blessings aren't the person that's not the person that's talking to you disrespectfully. That's not a blessing. Just because they come home every night, that's not a blessing. That's you holding on to baggage. We need to learn the difference. Your old self needs to accommodate the new self. You need to bury the old you. So now when you take that shovel, and we just talked about, you dig the grave, you start throwing dirt over your old self, and you say it's time to walk away from this person, right? I'm gonna do the things I never would do before. You were never a reader, right? No one said you can't read. You were never a reader. Now it's time to start trying to read. You were never the type to study. Now you're gonna be the type to study. You were never a gifted person. You don't have to be a gifted person to be successful. Let's get that straight. You gotta be a very disciplined, consistent, and also a resilient type of person to be successful. Most people, and I hate to say this, who become the valedictorians only said that educated, they're very smart and they're great at testing. That don't mean you're the sharpest knife in life because of the fact that you was the sharpest in school. Because some people who have great, they got a photographic memory. It is easy for you to test. You don't have to study the information. The moment the teacher tells you, it's easy for you. But imagine that kid that went home every single day, right? And to get that 65 or that 70, he had to study. Who do you think is more disciplined? A person that was born with a gift of photographic memory, or the person that had to go home and study hard to get a passing grade? I think the person that had to study hard to get the passing grade would ultimately be more disciplined, right? And that's the problem. We don't look at life for what it is. A lot of us are still doing the same foolishness that we've been doing our whole lives. It's the old you versus the new you. I want to ask somebody on my live today, raise your hand. If you're willing to let go of your older self, raise your hand. If you're willing to walk away from your older self, raise your hand. Because I'm going to be honest with you, some people still behave as their old self today. They still act like how they used to act. Let me see, I need to see way more raised hands than that. Come on, more hands. More hands, more hands, more hands. I'm raising my hand with you. And the reason why I'm raising my hand with you is because I'm ready to walk away from my old self even more. I'm distancing myself so far away from my old self to the point where I don't even recognize myself. That's how amazing life is. The more you remove yourself from environments, the more you'll get uncomfortable being in those environments. You'll see that you was complacent because of the fact that you allowed yourself to believe that that's what you should be. There is nothing wrong with growing up in the hood. But the problem is when you allowing yourself to believe that's all you can do. That's a problem. There's nothing wrong with being a average Joe. But when you accepted your fate that I don't want to do anything else, that's bad. You could be a scholar. The thing about going back to school later in life is the fact that you're more disciplined than you were when you were younger. You're going there for a reason. And that's the issue. You know, you don't want to see what you didn't do before. And now you're saying, you know what, when I did it the first time, I wasn't ready. So guess what? I'm going to keep myself not ready, knowing that I want more. I want more, right? My daughter does this thing. You know what that means? Sign language, what that means? What that means, right? That means more. My daughter always does this thing with her hands. She does sign language. She does more, right? And that's what you got to start doing. Tell yourself, I want more. I want more. Because I'm on this live today telling you I want more. I just got a new award, right? And I'm telling y'all now, I want more. I want to be bigger, better, and greater than what I was yesterday. I'm going to work on myself more, right? Let's keep saying more. The Bible says something about blessings. He says that God will pour out the blessings to the point where you can't receive it. And a lot of us don't understand why we're not receptive or receiving our blessings. It's because you have people in your way that's blocking you. It's like an umbrella, right? And the umbrella is blocking you from receiving your blessings. You got to get from on some of these people. You got to get away from around some of these people. Some of these people are talking you out of your space and out of the spot that you deserve. But you won't see that because of the fact that you're going to stay around them because you're comfortable. Because the old you said, this is where we should be. You made reservations to this place called mediocrity, to this place called I'm good enough, to this place called I don't want to do any more. You got to be able to tell yourself, I want more, and I'm going to do more. And if you're willing to do more, you'll get more. And that's how life operates. The people that have more are the ones that are willing to do more. Don't get me wrong, some people are born gifted. It's a blessing, they're lucky. But we're not counting those people. That's a very few and not too many. Most people have poor lives because they make poor decisions. Notice, I was telling my guys the other day, every time I go to like bad areas, they got some of the most expensive cars I've ever seen in my life. That's the priorities. And I'm not dissing this person that thinks like that, but the fact of the matter is they believe that's success. Someone told them, even though you're in a poverty-stricken area, if you put things around you to make yourself feel like you're rich, you will ultimately believe that you're successful. And that's how some people have allowed themselves to believe. You gotta you gotta re-diagnose yourself right now and diagnose yourself with insanity, because that's not true. But the more you've told yourself that, the more you believing it. We gotta learn how to unbelieve some of the things that we were taught. Show me your friends and I tell you who you are is a fact. You are the company you keep is a fact. Notice, I don't see McDonald's workers hanging out with millionaires. Nothing wrong with a McDonald's worker, but I'm just saying it's an analogy of understanding financial spaces, right? Some people will never get to these people because of the fact that they're not allowing themselves to become around these people. You get around these people and the first thing you do is you become uncomfortable. You get around these people and you start acting like they're bigger than you. A person in this world is never bigger than you. And I'm going to tell y'all something. I want you to hear this. So yesterday when I was at the hotel in Connecticut, I was talking to a lady. I asked her a question. I want y'all to stay with me on this one, right? She said, Q, you're very confident. And I said, yeah, I believe in me. She said, but it can come across as arrogance. I said, I disagree. She said, why is that? I said, because if 50 Cent sat here or Jay-Z sat here or Beyonce said, I'm him and I'm her, y'all going to respect it because of the economics. But a person that hasn't arrived yet, if they believe highly in themselves, you're going to automatically diss them. I think it's wrong. I think the world got the world twisted. A person that hasn't arrived yet should still look at themselves like, I'm him. A woman that says herself that I'm her. I don't care about her finances. She should be very confident about herself. Because you know why? She woke up as herself and she's going to die as herself. And she has to learn how to love herself and vice versa for the man. So there's nothing wrong with you believing that you're that person. Because if a celebrity do it, it's okay. But if the local garbage man do it, it's not okay. I disagree with that statement. Let me say that one more time. As I was talking to this girl, she said to me, Q, sometimes, people like you can come across as very arrogant. And I said, why is that? I said, because I'm confident and I genuinely feel like I'm him. She looked at me and said, what you mean by that? I said, I feel like I'm him. She said, oh, that sounds mad arrogant. I said, to you, because you want me to feel like you. The way you feel about yourself, you want me to feel like that. I don't feel like that about myself. Some people will say they're ugly. That's crazy. Some people will look you in their face and tell you that they feel like they're ugly. That's crazy. Again, if a woman sat here and told me she's a 10, I will never dispute it. If a man tells me he's 100, I will never dispute it. That man is entitled to his opinion, and so is she. But who am I to dispute that? Because I'm not attracted to the person? So therefore, my standards matters the most. That's how sick we are as a culture. Your standards don't matter. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury today, the conclusion is this. How you feel about yourself matters more than anybody else. And if you're still allowing people to tell you how you should feel about yourself, then you haven't got the memo of life. The memo is this. Learn to love yourself, accept yourself, and respect yourself, and you'll see that you'll get better results. A lot of us don't respect ourselves, accept ourselves, and we damn sure don't believe in ourselves. So how is someone going to believe in you when you don't believe in you? How? Why would I trust you when you don't trust yourself? Why would I care to even involve you when I speak to you, you speak with lack of confidence? I think that look, why would someone want that person around them? Why? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, again, we got to look at ourselves and say that I'm him. All my men that's on my live right now, please write, I'm him. Write it right now, I'm him. And all my ladies on my live right now, write, I'm her. There is nothing wrong with you being him. And ladies, you can be her all you want. And I'm him. I love it. I'm her. Levels. I'm her. I'm him. Keep going. I'm him. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I'm him. I'm her. And you should every bit say that to yourself every single day in the mirror. Ain't nobody that's not paying your bills can tell you otherwise. Let me say that again. No one that's not paying your bills can tell you that you're not him and you're not her. If you get up every morning and bust your behind to pay your bills, let me say this one more time. There is nobody on earth today that can tell you that you're not him and you're not her. If you get up every single day, bust your behind and pay your bills, you him. And if you get up every day, sister, and bust your behind, you are her. And nothing nobody can say otherwise. The only time somebody can steal your power from you, if you're giving them your power. Never give someone power to determine who you are. You determine who you are. And God has already preordained who you are. You just got to walk into your greatness. That's the difference. God already knows who you are. He knows. He knows your inabilities and your capabilities. He knows. I'm him. And I say it with confidence. Nobody can tell me I'm not. Because God put me on earth and he wakes me up every single day and allows me to believe that I'm him. And a woman needs to say I'm her. Love yourself. You're right. That's what we need to learn how to do. The problem is a lot of us didn't love ourselves in our younger days. And it's normal. Because as me and my homegirl was just talking, she's my homegirl now, just so you know, she calls in so much. That's my homegirl. And I respect her extremely. As we were just talking, the problem is a lot of times when you're in environments, they don't allow you to understand yourself. We know a lot of people still haven't found themselves. But I tell people all the time, stop trying to find yourself, create yourself. If you know that you want to be the successful person, find out what you have to do to create the successful person. If you know you want to be a scholar, right? Find out what you have to do to become a scholar, right? If you know you want to be a motivational speaker, don't you have to create yourself into becoming a motivational speaker? You got to create yourself into the things you want. Create yourself. Caller, we got another caller calling in. Caller, what's going on, caller? Caller, what's going on, caller?
You just made me check myself. It's Face again.
Okay, what's going on?
So for you to say it's okay to say I'm him, when I tell you I have a 12-year-old and smart as a whip, he challenges the teachers.
Mm-hmm.
They can't stand to have him in his class, but he has a 4.3 GPA. Smart as a whip.
Him.
At any time that we say something to him, if he's doing something that we don't believe is right, but he has his ideology of what's right, he likes to tell us, me and his dad, that's because I'm him. And my response to him today was, and that means what? Not knowing that means everything.
It means everything. That boy got confidence. That boy's confident. He knows. You'll be surprised at some of these things these young children learn on their own, right? You'll be surprised because one thing about us as adults, we stop becoming students. And that's the issue. You know, that kid is probably every bit of a student. He's learning every day. A 4.3 is crazy. That ain't nothing normal.
In 6th grade.
That's him. And I'm not saying that just because of his grades. It's his confidence.
Say it.
Listen, he knows who he is.
That's what they call you back. Is because the way that he says it, and he doesn't care if he's about to be disciplined for it. If he believes in whatever it is that he's willing to stand toe-to-toe with you on, he responds to you straight up, eyes looking dead in your face and say, it's because I'm him.
Mommy,
what don't you get? Mommy, I'm him. I can't help it. I'm him. I'm going to be him.
Listen, there's a guy that passed away, late, great Nipsey Hussle. He said he's a genius, but he can't claim it because they left him no platforms to explain it. That kid must know something about himself that we don't know. He knows. He feels it. Trust me. My mom used to say this would be me years ago, and I used to rebuttal and fight it. My mom said I had a gift. And when she used to say this to me, my mother said, you had an anointing over you. And I used to be like, get out of my face. But now when I tell her what I'm doing, my mother, you know what my mother says? I already knew. She saw I was him before I saw I was him.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to accept who you are.
That's the hard part. The hard part, even when we spoke earlier and you were saying, what do you do differently? I got to say, I never spoke to my reflection in the past. I never looked at myself and had that conversation with myself to remind myself who I was.
Yes.
I don't have to be who the world taught me to be. But when I look at myself now, I tell myself every morning, you a bad son of a gun.
Talk that talk.
You are that.
Talk that talk.
You've been that.
Yes.
You gonna be that. You don't let the world stop you. Get your shit together and let's move. We got stuff to do. We can't lay in the bed all day. We can't not get our goals accomplished all day.
Let me ask you a question.
Enough. It's time to live.
Let me ask you a question. If you're around a successful person and they're successful and they tell you what they got going on, would you get uncomfortable if you both successful?
No.
Let me ask you another question.
If you're
Let
successful,
me ask you one more question.
I want to be.
No, watch this. Now, if you go around a person who don't feel like a woman who don't feel like she's her, when you tell her you're her, what is she gonna say to you? Chances are, she gonna feel like you ain't her because she don't feel like she's her. People want you to feel the way they feel about themselves. This is the world in a nutshell. A lot of us are very negative
Correct.
because of how we feel about ourselves. Right? I can look at you and say I love you, not even meeting you because of the fact that I love myself. And you are a reflection of me and I'm a reflection of you. That's why I can tell you I love you comfortably. Because I know that's my sister and I'm her brother. And that's what the world need to change. We have a mentality where we don't see that. We need to build up our confidence again. Right? God wants us to take on great responsibilities and be greater. And the sad part about it is when you're about to quit, notice if you worked hard and you feel like you're really, really about to quit, he gives you a little bit more light. Every single time. And that's how it goes. You know, and that little boy that says he's him, let him be him. Let him be him. And you'll be surprised.
You see how he just said it. He said it. When I was pregnant with him, they told us to let him go because he was diagnosed as Down syndrome.
Wow.
Still to this day, he has an extra chromosome, and they consider him Down syndrome. He's not, but medically he is.
That
and
boy
he
him.
moves different.
It's
Talks
him.
different.
It's
It's
him.
how he is. He's different. He's him.
See? That's amazing. You see that? That's how life is. You know, like the other day, I was talking to one of my guys, right? And you know, like the darkness we see in life is to ultimately create the greatest lights. Watch the logic. You take a seed, right? And when you plant it, a seed is all the way in the dirt. The seed sees no light. The seed don't see light until what? It breaks the surface, right? A lot of us are scared to break the surface. So we're the seed right now that's planted now. We got to nurture the seed and know that something is going on the ground that we don't see. But yet and still something is going to happen. And when that seed break that light, which is that surface, that seed smiles because now it sees the results. That boy know who he is, man. I know who I am too. And I speak with confidence. And a lot of people don't like it because I know I'm him. There's a difference between being arrogant. See, a person that's arrogant, it means they're unapproachable. I'm very approachable. I'm very loving. So it doesn't say that I'm an arrogant person. It says that I'm confident. And we need to learn the difference. Too many people that aren't confident make you feel unconfident because you're too confident. And I don't think there's a such thing as too confident.
That you gave us a couple weeks ago that sat with me and been in my spirit for a long time.
Okay.
Self-gratification. Stop expecting other people to gratify you when you don't gratify yourself.
I agree. Listen, because no one gonna pat you on your back. You got to be able to look at your accomplishments and know where you come from. That's what we're talking about today,
Correct.
from the past to today. You know your whole story. No one knows your story better than you. So you know the strides and the steps you've made. So sometimes you got to be able to look in that mirror and say, boy, I'm proud of you, girl. I'm proud of you. I am so proud of you. And you ever see somebody...
on that shadow work.
Listen, I used to be a very aggressive person. The other day I had to tell a guy, I said, I'm going to tell you something. I don't fear what I can do to you, but I fear what God is going to do to me for what I'm going to do to you. That's why I don't want to do nothing to you. That's how I know I've changed. Because I don't fear hurting him, but I fear the results of me hurting him. That's what made me more conscious. Because God knows I know better. So therefore, I won't make certain decisions because I know better. And that's the God I worship. He gives us free will because he wants you to come to full circle of you accepting that you are your decisions. That's why he gives us free will. He allows you to make the choices. We are our decisions.
I'm going to jump on, let somebody else jump on here
I
to get
appreciate
this
you.
word from you.
Appreciate
You
you.
are amazing.
Thank you so
You
much.
keep going and continue to be arrogant and confident.
I appreciate you so much, my sister.
You deserve it.
Thank you so much. You know,
You're welcome.
thank you. You know, we have to realize, you know, when knowing who we are, there's a difference between arrogance and confidence. Everybody on my live, you got to work on your confidence. That man, Steph Curry, is able to take a three-point shot and turn around before it goes in, knowing it's going in. That says volumes. There are people right now who are scared to death to take a shot in life, comfortably, believe in themselves. They'd rather stay in certain spaces because these are the spaces that make them feel confident. This is the issue. Your old ways will not open up new doors. Your old ways will not make you greater. Your old ways are going to keep you exactly to the location and the space you in. You want something new, but it takes a new person to get the new things. It takes new decisions that you got to make to become the great results. That's one thing I love about God. He gives us all free will. And the reason why he gives us free will is because he wants us to make our choices. In life, when you make these choices, you got to be comfortable knowing that you are the reasoning why you fail. I've always told people this years ago, and I want you to hear this. I never wanted people to look at my life as just a movie that was good. I wanted people to look at my life as a movie that changed their life. That's how I always envisioned myself. I said, I want to be a reason that motivates someone to get up off their behind. I want to be the reason why someone who just wrote me, I'm scared not being scared. I was scared. Anything new is scary. If I take you to the jungles in Africa, you're going to be scared. I wonder why. Because it's unforeign to you. It's not something you know. But in order to know these things, you got to make yourself uncomfortable. Because I'm going to tell you something, and I hate to, throw my religion in there. What I worship, it says, I will never leave you nor forsake you. And I believe my God will always never leave me nor forsake me. I think a lot of us leave him before he leaves us. A lot of us need to start walking into our greater selves. Go to these networking events and go see some new energy. It's energy. Because sometimes that moment of you losing, you learn like, oh, I lost. I'm like, did you really lose when you learn from the loss? You don't lose anything unless you didn't learn from your loss. Once you learn from your loss, you actually won. And we need to learn that. So that L that people keep throwing at you, your LL for a loser, you need to turn it into learned, right? Let's turn that into a few different L's. Love, life, right? A lesson. Let's turn those L's into something else. Learn. Everybody give me an L on this thing. I see someone say lesson. I see someone say learn. Let's change them L's. What do it mean? I say love and life come with a lesson. I love that. Love and life comes with a lesson. Let's turn our L's into wins now, right? It's all about your perspective. Some people that see the L and they say loser. Some people that say I learned from my L. So did you really lose when you learned? Now you have the wisdom to teach others. And that's what we don't understand. Life is not about falling off. Life is about getting back up. How many of y'all willing to get back up today? And I challenge someone on this live today to get back up. I challenge someone on this live to pursue themselves again. I challenge someone in life today on this live to make a better choice today. I challenge someone today to say, you know what? I'm willing to do something different. I'm challenging someone on this live to say today, no more excuses. I'm challenging someone on this live today to say, I am my worst enemy. It's not the neighborhood. And I'm going to tell you why you know it's not the neighborhood. Because if you give power to the neighborhood will control you. Noticing that people make it out of those bad neighborhoods every day because they believe they had the power to do it. That's where it starts. We got to believe we have the power to do it. A lot of us don't believe we have the power because we relinquish our power. We give away our power, right? We look for acceptance from the baddest people in the neighborhoods. Ain't that crazy? We look for acceptance from the people that don't want to do anything with their life because they control the neighborhood. And I'm going to tell you something, big fish. There's an analogy about a fish. If you put him in a tank, the fish will grow to the size of the tank. But if you take that same fish and put it in the ocean, the fish will grow huge. And the reason why this fish will grow huge is because that's how the environment control your mentality. Let's look at your mind being this close-minded because of the fact that it's in that little small tank. But in order to grow this big old mind, you got to get yourself out of that tank. It's time for some of y'all to relinquish yourself from them tanks and start getting in emotions. Allow yourself to go back into new spaces. Don't be uncomfortable pursuing your greater self. There's always going to be days of discouragement. There's always going to be days of regretting and wanting to quit. That comes with the territory. It is impossible to be great without feeling pain. But pain is temporary because it always subsides. A lot of us don't understand pain will subside. And a lot of people haven't subsided their pain because they haven't done anything to relinquish their pains. Your pain will always be a hindrance to your life if you don't get the surgery that's needed. A lot of us has put Band-Aids on wounds that need major surgeries, expecting great results. The problems in your in your mind are not Band-Aid problems. It's psychological problems. Those are big surgery problems. We got to go to therapists and we got to go to new environments that's challenges and showing us our old behaviors is wrong. They're wrong. The way we might have been raised was wrong. And it's okay to accept that it's wrong. No one is perfect. A lot of our parents learned survival. They didn't know winning. So they only taught us how to survive. And a lot of us are getting mad at the fact that our parents taught us how to survive. Learn the difference. My mother taught me how to survive. And it's my job and my goal to teach myself how to win. My mother taught me how to survive. Now it's my goal to teach myself how to win. A lot of us need to teach ourselves how to win. We learn how to survive. And life is not about just surviving. Life is about winning and enjoying life also. Let's stop surviving and learn how to win. See, life is survival, but it's also winning. Learn survival tactics already. A lot of us know how to survive. Learn how to win. Till next time, guys. Love you so much. Don't let that go over your head.